Hey everybody, we have a fun video for you today. This is not really a review of Guild Wars 2 structured PvP, but this is sort of like an interview with my casual girlfriend. So she's somebody who has been playing Guild Wars 2 a lot lately, and honestly, I would consider it hardcore if it was any other game, but she doesn't play it competitively, especially in respect to the player versus player, structured player versus player. So I'm going to ask her a few questions, and she is going to honestly answer them, and then at the end of it, I will give my honest opinion as well. So, girlfriend Ashley, say hello.
Hello.
Awesome. Okay, so we're gonna have fun here. Alright, so first question. When you first got into the game, how daunting of an experience was it?
Like when I very first played structured
Yes,
PvP?
because I'm absolutely sure it was daunting for you. So,
Oh yeah.
to what extent?
Very.
Just absolutely?
With that time, with the Elementalist, with the whole...
Oh, yes,
Gonna
yes.
mess with everyone.
So there was an occasion where this is my first time showing her World versus World, and at that time I actually didn't do too much with it myself, so I thought that we could take one person. It was me, Ashley, and then one other random person, and we were just going to go take on this Elementalist, and to our surprise, he completely dominated us. We didn't hurt him in the least. He had full health the entire time and just destroyed us over and over again. So, yeah, that was really cute, I guess. So, as a first experience, it kind of sucks. And that's also going to carry over with structured PvP for me, and certainly for Ashley as well. But when you actually do kill somebody, like in a 1v1 situation, or even 1v2, how does that feel?
Great.
It feels
until
good.
I realized that it's like a level 5 that I killed.
Yeah, true. Okay, so do you 1v1 somebody and win, or more often do you lose?
Lately, I've been winning.
Okay. Well, for a reference, she uses a necromancer, so I think it's a little bit safe. She doesn't have a lot of mobility, but she is a little bit tanky, so as long as she has people around her, I think she's gonna do well. Me, personally, I play a warrior, which is supposedly really easy, and I'm getting the feeling that it is, but at the same time, I feel like I'd enjoy mesmers, thieves, elementalists. I feel like classes that have a huge amount of playability, like there's a high skill cap, I think those classes are for the most part generally better, but warrior I heard is really face roll in solo queue, and a lot of the times I do really well, and I feel like I'm not doing it, like it's not my skill level, it's just sort of happening. So warriors probably are a little bit face roll in some occasions, but Ashley, what do you think are the most intense classes? What do you think are the best, just from your experience?
I hate engineers.
God, I hate them too.
Because they have those, like, healing turrets, and then they can lay,
Yes.
like, all those healing bags.
And then they can knock you down. They can just do. They're annoying. That's the annoying class.
Thieves are really annoying.
They can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
If they want in, they get in. If they want out, they get out.
I used to hate Elementalists, but I've gotten better with them. I guess Mesmers, too. I hate Mesmers.
Yeah, it's really confusing, especially if they're in a group. Like, if they're alone, sometimes you can single them out and stuff, but a good Mesmer is good. I'm leveling up a Mesmer right now, and I'm finding it really hard to level them up. It's actually a kind of hard class. They're really squishy, so if you can get on them, you can get on them. But in PvP, if you're a good Mesmer, they're not going to let you get on them.
Nope.
Yeah, no. What do you think is the easiest class for you to kill?
I think right now, Elementalists. That's what I've been taking down the most.
Elementalists?
Yeah. Warriors are sometimes easy as long as they're not doing that, like, OP move.
Yes. Okay, so the OP move that she's talking about is where, well, in the gameplay, you're actually going to see me testing it out. It's basically where you just rush in with Bull's Charge, and you use Frenzy, and then you use Thousand Blades, and it's pretty much like a one-hit KO. Sadly, my build is not adequate, and this is actually something that we should talk about real quick, is builds. So with the different builds, there's not too much playability with it, like in PvE, where you can have all sorts of different armor sets and everything. In PvP, it's a little bit more structured. You get just one accessory to have for stats, and then you have different runes for your weapons. So it's a little bit more structured, but there's still a lot with the talents, which they just recently simplified. Before, you could have really weird builds with like 4 points and whatever, but now it's a lot more simplified with the talents, or skill points, skill trees that you can do. But they also are adding more. Still, as a new player, I had no idea what to do, and as a year and a half player, I still have no idea what to do, what builds are optimal, especially for PvP, and it's really hard looking up guides and everything. So how do you feel about the complexity of the builds? Do you think it's a good thing, or do you think it's a bad thing?
I actually feel like it's easier to set up a build for PvP than PvE. PvP, I just go all condition. PvE,
True.
that's not very good.
No, yeah, in PvE, a lot of people, they really don't like rangers or necromancers because of the conditions and how conditions work on bosses in CC, but in PvP it's a little bit different. So necromancer probably fits in really well in PvP. As a warrior, I feel really awkward because it's really hard for me to hit a lot of spells. Where with a necromancer, since you're ranged and even some of your melee skills are ranged, it's probably easy-ish for you to hit.
I don't even use ranged, really. Axe is about the farthest range that I do.
But it's still ranged.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of your, wait, what are your abilities that you use? Are they signets or?
I have 2 signets and then I do a well. And the well, it applies vulnerability.
Okay. So all in all, it's not too hard to hit.
No.
Okay. I miss a lot of mine. People like dodging. I think it's thieves for the most part. They dodge a lot of my stuff, and I have really high cooldowns on a lot of the stuff that I do. So if I miss my high cooldown nuke or my my stun, the one stun that I need, then that's it. I'm pretty much dead. So really high risk, high reward for me. I should probably change my playstyle. But that's the thing, is that when you go into it, you don't really realize situations like what's really high risk, what's really high reward. There's like a really high skill cap for stuff like that. Like
and plus you're not used to the people dodging because you're not, when you fight in PvP or PvE, things don't dodge. So
right, and that's what I really hate, is that whenever I'm playing and whenever I see anybody else playing, it's pretty much like they're just randomly dodging. Like everyone's just randomly dodging, randomly blocking, and stuff like that. And sometimes you can see attacks coming. But for the most part, you don't really see things. They're not really. They don't really show off. They don't really have whatever fucking the word it's called, a telegraph. They don't really telegraph their attacks. You don't have the telegraph system like they do in WildStar, where there's huge, colorful symbols on the ground. You do have danger circles in this game, but you don't have any telegraphs like you would see in Dark Souls or a normal PvE game like you do in the PvE monsters. You don't have that for the player characters, and I really hate Asurans because you cannot see what they're doing.
nope.
You can't. You just can't see what they're doing. And it's actually been proven that their animations, like if they have a flamethrower, their animation is smaller than the damage radius. So the flamethrower will be really small, but you'll still be hit by it 2 times away from the animation zone. So it's really, really not accurate for the telegraph system. And at the moment, I don't see how this game is competitive, even though they are trying to make it competitive. And there's just a whole lot that you can't see. And as a player, it's annoying. But as a spectator, I was trying to watch some of the arenas, and I can't tell what's going on the screen.
Nope.
Like, if I watch League of Legends, it's like, okay, there's a giant ice arrow going at someone. I can see that. But in this game, everything's really obscure, and especially whenever you're, like, in 5v5 matches, where just everyone's clashing in the middle or something like that in solo queue, because that happens, people just zerg. I don't know, it's just a mindfuck, really. Like, I can't calculate everything, and it's just very confusing.
I feel like the maps are a little too small, too.
Yeah, tell me about the maps. What's your favorite map, and just maps in general, just kind of rant here.
I don't know what it's called. I like the Wolf Raven.
Okay, like that. Okay, so the Wolf Raven map. Okay, so that one is sort of like a MOBA styled one. It has a jungle, right? Yeah, because there's Fanir on it. Okay, so there's 2 jungle monsters that you can get buffs from killing, and then you also have bases, and then there's also an orb. You have to take the orb and bring it to a base to get extra points. You basically are just trying to acquire, it's like Conquest, or something of the sorts. And it's really annoying, I think, because the bases are boomerang together, and then people charge out, and there's either like this mosh pit, or everyone goes around in circles, and in solo queue, it's just madness. Like, people just go all over the place. Actually, that's probably true for most of the maps. But
I hate the one where where it jumps you up to the section.
Oh, Skyhammer.
Yeah.
Skyhammer is like, if you were a good team, that Skyhammer is probably epic.
Hate it.
Like, there's a whole lot of strategy to go there. I think it's annoying though, because if you're an engineer, they can just knock you off the map so easy. And honestly, as a warrior, I use Fear Me nonstop. I actually got a laugh out of that. I used that earlier, knock someone off. But there's a lot of strategy to the maps. I just think that they're not big, like there's not wide open spaces enough. Like, a lot of it is walls and everything, and Thieves just, all you gotta do is go invisible, go around a wall, and you're never gonna see them again. So it's not really fair. And I think in honestly, World versus World is not supposed to be fair. And yet I feel like most of my fair fights and most of my, like, the fun of PvP is in World versus World. And I really like that. It feels genuine. Like, there's Zerg versus Zerg, whatever, there's more people. Honestly, I think it's just more fun. But Structured is just confusing for me. And playing with Ashley, it's fun and all, but I don't feel like the maps are enjoyable. I feel like I can never find my teammates.
Never.
Ever. Yeah, there's
But
just
there's always an enemy right around the corner.
there is like I think there is too many corners. I think that's what it is. Like there's too many obstacles and things in the way.
It's confusingly laid out.
That's what it is. Like just the map design is just not that great, which is sad because I think the World vs. World map is pretty cool. So, we recently played the deathmatch map. They recently added this one, and it's just basically a pit. And honestly, that one's not great either. I could see that being really awesome for 2v2s or 1v1s, but a 5v5 deathmatch was just hectic and way dumb.
You cannot see anything. And then, like, plus if it's AoE, there's nowhere to dodge to, really.
True, absolutely true.
Because with 5 people laying AoE stuff, like, you're going to get hit.
Mm-hmm. So, Ashley, any closing thoughts? What you think about PvP? How about things that they could include? What would make the game better? Just list one thing.
I think, I don't know. I just wish that it was more fair.
More fair, of course, absolutely.
Basically.
I think more fair, and it, in a sense, you know, it is really complex, and there probably is a level of fairness to it. Like, people on the forums or in the comments of this video would be like, just look up guides, noobs. So I think it should just be, like, more easy to understand.
But the thing is Guild Wars is supposed to be, like, about creativity, but it's like in PvE, how everyone's like, oh, do Zerker or else you're just bad. Mm-hmm. Well, you should be creative and make anything good.
True.
So I hate when people just live by the guides.
And in the end, in PvP, I think it's a little bit more open, but at the same time, there's just still better things, and certain classes that are better at doing that, because you only have 5 slots on a team, so there's that. I don't know. There's just, there needs to be like some training dummies or something. This is something that's actually lacking, and it was in a lot of other MMOs, but they need training dummies so that you can sit there and train, see your DPS, and you need to be able to test out things and see for yourself. Looking up guides isn't always the best way because things can change, different metas can shift, and you never know what's going to work in solo. It's just so confusing to learn a game that has no way of actually testing things out for yourself in the game. You just have to have all these other people testing it out, and it's just confusing. I shouldn't have to go look up on the internet for hours and hours just to have a little bit of fun in PvP, just to get started. And that's what I think. Also, downstate. So this is if you never played Guild Wars 2, the downstate is where you kill someone, you basically kill someone, you take their health down to 0, and they go into a downstate, very much like Gears of War 2, and then you have to finish them. However, they can be picked up. And I think this is something that stops a lot of new players from enjoying the game, because it feels like they can't kill anybody. How do you feel about downstate?
I feel like I'm the only one who actually gets killed when I'm in downstate.
So I recently just saw this today. I've been playing for a while and never realized this. But, okay, a ranger's pet can actually out-heal the DPS that I did as a DPS warrior trying to down him. And also, like, if there's a group of people, it can be really crazy. Like, they can just pick up their teammate, and then basically they come out with half health. And it's a little bit ridiculous. It really promotes teamwork.
It should be like whenever you use a revive orb, like, you should be slowed extremely.
Yeah, there should be consequences. I mean, you got downed, you lost. So there should definitely be consequences.
Like, even if it's just 3 seconds of consequence, like, that's enough to...
It's enough. It is. So I think that makes it hard for new players, and I think there's just a whole lot of mechanics that make it hard for new players, and why a lot of my friends, they've played the game and they're like, PvP, yeah, it's just not fair. It's not fun at all. So there's that. And I guess you could say, you know, it's our fault. We're noobs. It's a high skill cap game, sure, whatever. But a lot of it is just hidden. It's really obscure, and it needs to be clear. There needs to be brighter telegraphs or some sort of added mechanic so that we can see different abilities. Honestly, there just needs to be training dummies. There actually needs to be a lot of little tiny things added to the game so that it helps out new players. I don't think there needs to be some huge overhaul. I just think new players need more systems to educate them, and really just to make the battles clearer, make everything clear. Honestly, I hate the stickiness of the game. I like the combat. I honestly do. I think it's one of the best in MMOs, but sometimes it's really awkward. Have you ever dodged and you clearly did dodge, but it still hit you?
Yeah.
Or like
reverse? It'll even say like evaded. And it'll still hit me, and it's like, okay.
One thing
or like
I really hate.
I'll be like mid dodge, and they'll lay an AOE and it'll hit me. And I'm like,
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I noticed today is that, okay, tab targeting. It is tab targeting. So that can be awkward, especially with Mesmers having 3 phantasms, thieves with clones, pets, all of that. So that can be annoying, and I hate that. I think tab targeting should be different in this game, but what I hate is thieves. Okay, you tab target onto them, you're locked onto them, you're trying to hit them, they go invisible. When they reappear, you're not always tab targeted on them. It disappears, and your shots just go out into nowhere. You can sometimes totally just lose your cooldowns, and it's super awkward. It's really horrid, especially because you need to hit every single ability. So when things like that happen, it's just really not fair, I think. In this kind of game, it's not really fair.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. I mean, at least in a solo queue mentality. So I think they just need some, quality of life changes. Like, they just need to do a little bit of with the UI. Just make it a little bit easier for new players. Sure, I guess a lot of people on the forums, they could say that we're noobs or whatever, but the honest truth is that League of Legends is really popular for a reason, and all those reasons, Guild Wars 2 is not succeeding. It's just not, it's not really a spectacle. I mean, it's at least a little bit better than World of Warcraft with all of those numbers. But this game, it's actually really similar. Just a lot of numbers. It's really hard to see what the action going on, and it's hard to see what those numbers mean. It's hard to actually go into the builds and everything, especially as a new player, and try to figure out what's good, what's bad. And as a spectator or someone trying to learn, it's still really hard to clarify. It's really hard to understand the game. And that's it. I think that's the problem. That's it. The game's fun. It has really cool abilities and stuff. So, what do you think? I mean, like, if the game was fair, do you think it would be, like, super cool, or what?
Yeah.
Would you? I think it would be cool. It kind of reminds me of Team Fortress. Like, it is a fun game. There's a lot of fun game modes and everything, but it's just complex.
A little bit broken.
I think that's probably, it's a little bit broken. A little bit. Okay, guys. So, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys enjoyed the commentary. Have a good night, guys.